That'll be all right.
Yeah, we'll be good. I think we're live.
I think we should be live.
I think so. It says we're live.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? If y'all can see us and hear us, please just comment down below. We had a little bit of a technical issue this morning.
We look a little different today because we're using a different camera and we're sitting up a little closer to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little strange, but we're here.
We're here.
So
technology
indeed. How's everybody doing this morning on Monday?
Happy Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know what y'all got going on this week.
Yep.
Mr. Delisle, what do you have going on this week?
Oh, let's see. Well, after the live stream, I'm headed downstairs to go do a recipe experiment, which will hopefully be our dinner.
Yeah.
And I have a guitar lesson to teach today. And tomorrow, I have, of course, video editing to do as well. And then tomorrow we have a live stream in the kitchen. And then after the live stream in the kitchen on Wednesday, we are going to be driving.
We are, yeah.
We're going to be headed to Indiana, and we're going to be going to Sweetwater, and we're going to be starting tour.
Yes.
Kicking off tour. So
it's going to be fun.
Yeah, we got a couple of videos to get edited before we leave, and then we'll be ready to go.
Absolutely. That's good.
So yeah, what about you? What do you got going on?
Same stuff as you. Yeah, no, we're excited. We've had a really busy couple of weeks, and we're excited to be kicking off tour. And it's going to be a very busy week. We got lots and lots going on, and I'll probably be really tired, but I'm not complaining by any way, shape, or form. I think it's a good thing to be busy doing what you love, whether that's music or getting to create YouTube videos and post them. I think that's always a great thing. So We're excited.
I agree.
Let's see who we got watching here this morning with us. We got Janelle's in the house.
Hi, Janelle.
She says, "Good morning, everybody. This sounds like an excellent topic. I'm eagerly waiting for this live stream."
All right.
Woohoo. 22Q Cat's here. Hi, Lynn.
Hello, Lynn.
Says, "Great day for some Monday motivation."
Yeah.
Hi, Chris, Ash, and all. And then you got Addicted to Antlers.
Yeah, there she is.
Says, "Good morning, everyone." Robert's here. Says, good Monday morning."
Good morning, Robert.
TBC Delisle says, "Hello all from Papa Nashville."
Hello to Dad. He must be sitting there at home watching. So.
Absolutely. By the way, if you haven't seen the Chuck Roast video.
Yes, Chuck Roast came out on Saturday, and he was all kinds of funny in that.
Yes, he was. Yes, I love that video. It's super cute. And we got Richard Williams in the house.
Hey, neighbor.
Good morning, neighbors. I hope y'all have a great week.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
We're certainly going to try. Well, we're glad that you guys are here. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button. We got 9 people watching and only 4 thumbs up down below the video. So do us a favor, hit that thumbs up video. That tells YouTube that this is a valuable video and helps other people find it. And lots of good things start to happen when we tell the algorithm this stuff matters. So hit the thumbs up, drop a comment, let us know you're here. Tell us where you're watching from, what's going on, what you guys are up to, and also let us know for sure that you can hear us, because I haven't seen anybody say that yet. And with the technical difficulties we had today, I would just like to make sure you can actually hear me, because otherwise I'm just doing this and you have no idea what's going on. So
there is that.
Yeah, so please let us know. I see Barry Weems is here as well.
Oh yeah, hey Barry. He says, "Good morning, y'all."
Yep, good to see you. This is the one nice thing about our technical difficulty today is we actually are sitting a little bit closer to things, and now I can actually see my monitor and see when things pop in. So okay, my dad says loud and clear. Cool. Well, good.
Cool.
So the title that I put on for the video today is about caring for other people. And Ash has a story for you guys that I think is a really great example of kind of what we do, why we do this, but to sort of set her up to be able to tell her story. Why do we do Monday morning motivation? Why did we?
To motivate people, to encourage them to, share knowledge and love and compassion and encourage them in their journey wherever they're at.
Absolutely. And the whole point of what we do with Chris Cooking Nashville, with the Studios channel here, with the health information, with the recipes. The reason we have all of this stuff is because we're trying to help people. And I think helping people is just the greatest calling, regardless of what you're actually doing. Whatever you're doing, do it in a way that helps other people is just the greatest calling you can have. And for us, our faith, our Christian faith, is very important. And if you don't agree and you don't have the same faith that we do, that's totally fine. I think there's plenty of other reasons that you should still agree that helping people and doing these kinds of things matters so much, regardless of what your belief system is. And we can all get along and we can all love each other regardless of whether we see the same way or not.
Absolutely.
And so everything we do is motivated by the idea that we can help people. And I thought this was really cool. It's maybe a little bit of serendipity. So because of the fact that we're using my computer and my phone doesn't want to hook up as a camera today, I actually have my phone in my hand. And not long before we started this chat, I got a text message. And there's a video here of a lady who is 94 years old and has been on a carnivore diet for, let's see, it says 94 years old, carnivore for the last year.
Wow.
And this is from a good friend of ours named Pastor Bob. And if you don't know who Pastor Bob is, he is a heavy metal pastor.
He's awesome, dude.
And he is just a rock star who also loves to preach about Jesus.
Yeah.
Does a whole heavy metal church thing and has a YouTube channel. You guys should, all you have to do is go to the search box on YouTube, Google Pastor Bob, and he has such incredible little, like, short condensed sermon type things and talking points and some longer videos. He's got a whole bunch of stuff. And he also has a coffee company that they use where they take money from the sales of these different flavored coffees that he is involved with. And he's always talking about the great coffee. And then they take some of the money from that helps support like charitable organizations. And I know he has a whole thing he's involved with where they feed the homeless around here. And he travels internationally because there's a whole network of churches that are international that do all of this heavy metal church stuff. And it's really cool. And it's reaching a whole group of people who otherwise probably wouldn't be reached. And I think it's really, really cool. So regardless of what your belief system is, he's just a great dude and could really benefit from some support. But he sent me this text message, and it's a little video clip of his mom, who's 94 years old, and they're doing a carnivore diet. And sometime I'm going to hopefully have him here on the channel for an interview when he is ready, and let him tell you guys his story with carnivore because it's amazing. But he sent me this message, says, "Good morning. I just wanted to encourage you today on your mission to help folks with the carnivore diet. You're really making a difference in people's lives. I thought you might enjoy this little clip of my mom watching your podcast on her iPhone. She watches and copies the recipe at the same time. She's 94 years old and has been doing carnivore for the last year with me. Be encouraged." And I thought, what a beautiful message for me to get right before we go on here and we start talking about helping people.
Yeah.
Because he literally just texted that what I'm doing is helpful. And I think that's a really beautiful thing to receive. The appreciation sort of messages and things from people that this helps, because it helps make it clear that something is helpful to somebody. So you are encouraged to continue helping people. And since we're on the whole subject of helping people, I thought that was a great message to get.
I would also like to add before we get into our story.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how many people know this, but you just hit 100,000 subscribers on your main channel. Just a few days ago. But I remember the day we were living in a very small apartment. And it was like during the pandemic, and we were really struggling. And you were working like how many jobs?
I think at the time 3 before like I added the YouTube channel on top of it.
Yeah, and I was working, and we were trying to rebuild honestly our lives after COVID, after we literally lost everything. And I remember, Chris came to me, and he had been doing carnivore, and we were doing keto and all this stuff. And he said, "I really want to start a YouTube channel." And, I was encouraging and supportive, at least I feel like at the time. But I was also like,
sure. You were concerned.
Well, I was like, well, babe, how are you going to film videos? Like, when are you going to have the time to do that? Like, what are you What are you doing? And his response to me was, I understand your concern, but if I can help one person, and if I can give this information to one person, that's all I want to do. Like, this has changed my life. And so therefore I want to pay it forward and pass it on. And so like when you started your YouTube channel, that was your reason, was literally like, you just want to help and you want to share and you want to encourage and motivate people.
Yeah.
And so that's literally why Chris started the Chris Cooking Nashville channel. That's also why, as things have grown and as we've progressed, over the past, say, like 2 years or so, that's why we started the Studios channel. So literally the idea of just helping people and putting out information that's literally why we started.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of blew up from there. And so we're just kind of blessed that y'all are here. And we love this. And, the studio channel that y'all are watching us on is new. And we're still, working on growing it and coming up with ideas. But literally our root is just to be here to help. So with that being said, I was helping Chris the other day with some ideas on like videos and like different things that we can do with this channel. And so I would just love if you guys could maybe put in the comments below, or better yet, if you can take the time, email Chris, which your email address is.
Yeah, it's info@chriscookingnashville.com.
Great.
Yep.
If there are things that you struggle with that you would love like a research-based video on, or topics that you wish people would talk about, but you just don't really hear it, things that you struggle with on your health journey, your carnivore diet, things that you would love to know more about, but maybe like don't necessarily want to ask a question, or you find it hard for someone to answer that question,
right?
Please email us at info@chriscookingnashville.com, and we will definitely reply to your email, read your email. But I would love to get some video ideas for this channel that we can make content on, that you guys would actually find useful and helpful, that would encourage you and motivate you in your journey, no matter where you're at. So if you can send us ideas and topics that you're like, man, I really wish someone would talk about this, like
I would love that. And here's the deal. Because of the fact that this is now my full-time job, along with doing music stuff with Ash, I don't necessarily know if I have a lot of time, because I think I'm just as busy now as I was when I had the day job. I'm just putting a lot more of that time into this kind of stuff. If you've noticed my recipe videos, the editing has become, I think, a little bit more advanced. And, and I'm still learning new techniques, but I'm trying to take the time to step all of that up. And I'm putting more time into doing this kind of stuff because I'm trying to make it better for you guys, and I have the ability to put more time into it. So I would love if you would tell us some things that you would like to hear more about, some subject matters, whatever. And then as I can, I'm going to go do the research. So if it's like, I've always wondered about this, but I don't know where to go to research, I don't know how to start this, whatever, I can absolutely start doing that. And truthfully, because of the fact that I have the size channel I do now, there are also some other creators in the keto and carnivore space that I have a little bit of an ability to like get a hold of, like Dr. Barry and Nisha. Like, I can reach out to them and maybe get some information from them sometimes, because they're trying to help people too. And if there's not something specific that they've already done a video on something where I can just get the information there, I might even be able to get a hold of one of the two of them and ask them a direct question that they could lead me in the direction of, okay, well, go check this out and you'll find your answers and, whatever. So just because of the fact that we have grown things to the point we have, and a few people know who I am now, I can use that and I can help us get access to information that is maybe helpful. And I would love to do that for you guys if there's something that you want to know about. Plus, I mean, listen, I had the whole day job thing while I was doing all of this stuff on top of it. I know how difficult it is to find the time to go watch the videos and read the articles and all the different things it takes to be able to do all of this. So please let us know what you would like to have some information on. And although I'm not cranking out health videos on a weekly basis, as I can, I would like to take the time and I would like to go do some of the legwork to find the information, do the research, and then put something together for you guys. So instead of spending, 10 or 15 hours researching like I will for a single video, you can sit down for 15 or 20 or 30 or however long minutes it would be of a video that I create and get all of that answer And then, I'll link to any of the information that I find and show you guys what I'm finding. I'm happy to do that legwork if I can.
Yeah. I think on this channel especially, we are a lot more about the quality and the content of the videos.
Yeah,
so we don't put out as many videos on this channel going forward, but it's more of like a very intentional thing. And we just want it to be helpful, good information that is well researched. So but yeah, email us, info@ChrisCookingNashville. Give us your ideas. Tell us what you're struggling with, what you need to be encouraged on, what health tips and whatnot you would like. And I think that will be helpful to us if you guys don't mind taking the time to share your ideas with us.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. I see Lillian is here.
Oh yeah.
Says she made it again. Glad to be here. And she's going to listen while cooking. Cool.
Yeah, Lillian.
Hey, that's the cool thing about this kind of stuff. That's why we do these Monday morning motivation videos. Like you can listen to this like a podcast in the background.
Oh, totally.
You can, do that kind of stuff. I think that's really cool.
And if you can't make it on Monday morning,
watch the replay later as a podcast. I've actually created a playlist on this channel where I'm putting all the Monday morning motivation videos.
Great.
So if you need to, because you're just having a rough day, put it on like a podcast as a playlist and let it just play through those videos and just let us try to encourage you as best we can. We'd love to do that.
I love it. Yeah, it makes a big difference. Big difference. Do you want to get caught up on comments super quick?
Yeah, there's a few comments I see. We'll do that, and then we'll give you a chance to tell your story.
Yeah, and then we'll dive in.
Looks like Deborah's here. What an awesome reason to start your channel. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Lynn Danielson says, hi from Denver. It was fun to watch your 100K vid yesterday. The expression on your face as the numbers fluctuated was great.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm telling you, that's an emotional roller coaster going up and down when you're that close and you're waiting for it. And those numbers fluctuate naturally, but when you're actually sitting there watching them live,
it was like nail biting.
It's so much stress.
It is, yeah. Barry Weems says, by the way, no matter what's going on in your life, you need to tell someone that you love them because tomorrow is never guaranteed. Amen to that.
Absolutely.
22QCat says, I like your shirt, Ash. Great ladies. Thank you, Lynn. You gotta love them Judds.
That's right.
Yeah, and then let's see. Janelle says, I'm amazed at the volume of great YouTube content you put out. I barely find time to watch them all.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Well, I'm glad that you enjoy all of it and, watch it as you can when you have time. We just appreciate your loyalty and your support. And it's why we do it.
Yeah. Janelle says, playlist, great idea. I have a batch of keto granola in the oven right now.
That's
yummy.
Awesome. The other thing with playlists, y'all, not only on this channel, but on the main channel, especially, I have multiple playlists on that channel. If you are like busy working on something at home and you want to put stuff on in the background, just go play one of my playlists. Better yet, if you're working on stuff and you're not going to be using like your phone or your computer or something, start a playlist, hit mute, and just let it play through that playlist because that's just good for my channel. And it's a way that you can support the channel and help us get more views with other people because it tells the algorithm that things are good. And you can have it play through multiple things and it literally doesn't cost you time or attention or money or anything. It's just a free way of you can set it up and in 5 seconds you're supporting the channel by letting it play through those playlists.
Oh, yeah, and it's awesome. Addicted to Antler says, you can tell that's why you started your channels. It shines through.
Thank you.
Barry Weems also says, I'm working on trying to write a song somewhere along the lines of your cigarette song. The song is about being a carnivore or keto boar song.
There you go.
I love it, man. I can't wait to hear that.
That's cool.
Cool. SB Bradley 510 is in the house.
Hey, Sean.
Says, good morning, everybody.
Good to see you.
Deborah Jones says, I've got a chuck roast in the refrigerator waiting to prepare like you and your dad did.
Yeah.
Yummy.
You are going to love that, I'm telling you.
Oh, you definitely are.
So
it's
good.
Delicious, man. And Katie's here this morning. She
Katie.
says, you two are the sweetest. Love your hearts for people. Wishing you both the best.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
And then Janelle says, you are too funny. Do you think I'd play your videos and not want to listen? I don't know.
You're very kind. Listen, there's been a few people in my life that are like, will you please shut up? So I just never assume, but we appreciate it.
Yeah, no, we appreciate y'all like watching videos on playlists. It's very helpful.
Well, y'all, there is something very interesting that happened with Miss Ash. And she has a great story, and that's sort of the inspiration for this video. So I'm just going to let you tell everyone your story from yesterday.
Sure.
And just kind of give your thoughts on it. And I'm just going to sit here and sip my coffee and keep my mouth shut.
You can chime in. It's all good. No, Chris and I, like we were saying at the very beginning of this live stream, we've had a really, really busy week, and we clearly have a lot going on, and that's cool. That's the way we like it. But this weekend, my youngest brother is actually getting married next month, and they had a couple shower.
Yeah.
And so we went to that, and for starters, it was really interesting the number of people that were walking up to us and talking about Chris's YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And, because my brother is so proud of Chris, and he, talks about us all the time. And so people were coming up. And so we actually were talking quite a bit about keto and carnivore, and people had a lot of interesting questions about it. And so I kind of felt like in a way we were evangelizing keto and carnivore, because to someone on a standard American diet, that is just a very far out concept.
Right.
It's like, wait, what do you mean you only eat meat? Like, how does that work? And so we were, kind of just sharing and giving people information. And we didn't want to come off as being like crazy people, and we didn't want to, scare anybody, but we were sharing like our health journey and like how much weight we've lost and how it's really helped with anxiety and depression. And we gave them the information, and it was like, we didn't really, we didn't push them, but it was like, just so this really works well for us. And so we kind of evangelized for starters. That was on Saturday.
Yeah.
And
that's very effective when you also have those before and after pictures.
Definitely.
And when you're kind.
We were kind.
When you're kind and you're gentle about it, and you're not, shoving it down people's throats, and you show them this picture, they may not be convinced that they should do it, but it's very hard for them to deny.
Yes.
that you've seen amazing results.
Absolutely. And so, maybe some of them will actually go watch Chris's channel, like they said. Maybe they'll start cutting down their carb intake, maybe not. But we at least planted a seed, and we just wanted to be kind. And a lot of the people that I knew were there were actually vegan or vegetarian, and then the rest were like standard American diet.
Yeah.
And so it was just that, for starters, was an interesting start, because it was almost like we were out here just evangelizing a low carb lifestyle to a bunch of people that are like, what does that even mean? What are you doing? So the next day, Sunday morning, Chris was here editing videos. And like I said, we leave for tour on Wednesday. And so we were just, I will admit, I was very much in my own world, in my own headspace. And I had 1,001 things I needed to do. And so I went out and I was running errands. I was all over town. And the story that I kind of wanted to share is kind of what started this whole process. And when I came home and I told Chris this story, we thought, let's take this real life application of evangelizing a carnivore diet. Let me tell you what happened to me on Sunday morning, and let's see how we can actually add that into our own life and our own health journeys. So Sunday morning, as I was out running errands, I needed to run by the post office. And clearly they're closed on Sundays, but there is a kiosk inside the one here by our house.
As a side note, you were actually running to the post office to send Lynn, 22
Hi,
Key
Lynn.
Cat, a package, because you guys didn't know, Ash does Ash Wednesdays. And the first Ash Wednesday, every Wednesday we do a live stream on her channel for, music stuff. And the first Wednesday of every month, we give something away when we do an Ash Wednesday. And Lynn won something from Ash. So she was running to send Lynn her package.
Yes, I wanted to get that out before we left for tour, because I was like, I'm going to be gone a bunch. But so Lynn, it's in the mail, just so you know. But yeah, so I went in and I was using the kiosk there in the post office. And I'm there too, shipping stuff off, like merch and CDs, like probably at least once a week. But I walked into the post office to use the kiosk, and I immediately realized that something was maybe kind of up and kind of off, because there was a shopping cart, right in front of the doors of the post office. And there is a huge homeless population here in Nashville. And it basically quadrupled after the pandemic. And so that is
a lot of people lost their homes, and their cars, and their jobs, and everything. And it really skyrocketed, unfortunately.
It really did. So there's a huge problem with that, unfortunately, here in our city. And so I saw the shopping cart and walked into the post office, and it was ransacked. I mean, like, trash cans were knocked over. There was like, all kinds of trash and debris. They had knocked over displays in the lobby, and it was just a big mess in there. But the post office seemed pretty normal. It literally was like myself and like 3 other people, and they all just were walking around the trash, and there was like a knife and a stick, and it was just a wild scene, right? And it's like everyone there just really seemed to be not even acknowledging the fact that this post office is literally tore up. Like, you're walking over trash to get to the kiosk. So my immediate assumption was, by the shopping cart and the side of the post office, it would seem that a homeless man or woman came in and, clearly ransacked it, probably got food out of the trash, et cetera, and they probably have moved on. And so, I'm there and I'm using the kiosk, and, again, everyone other than me is just acting like this is completely normal and, nothing. And so I'm using the kiosk, and a couple minutes go by and I'm almost done. And basically this homeless man shows up, and he's outside the post office. So there's basically windows surrounding the entire post office, so you can see outside of the whole building. But there's a homeless man outside, who walks up and is literally screaming. And now I will say, a nice way to put it is, I did not grow up in suburbia by any means. So in case you don't know, like, I grew up clearly in Bakersfield, California, which is the meth capital of the world. And in my hometown, there's a big issue with drug use and addicts, unfortunately. My mom also works in recovery. And so this is actually what my mom does for a living. And so clearly I know quite a bit about this from my mom and how she helps people basically recover from drug addiction. And then on top of that, I've also been homeless twice in my life. So I myself have never done drugs, but I have seen what it does to people, how it affects people. And it is heartbreaking and just shattering how an addiction like that just can wreck someone's world. And so I'm very well aware of it, and I, have clearly seen it before, but this man was literally screaming, and he was basically saying that he was dying, and clearly he was hallucinating, and he was out of his mind. He also had on no shoes. It was literally like 100 degrees outside. And he's walking around on the asphalt. He's throwing himself into walls and buildings, and he's crazy. So, immediately I was just like, okay, I need to basically not confront him. He's crazy. And this is clearly his mess and his stuff. And he has weapons here on the counter. There was a pocket knife and a large stick. And I'm like, he's going to hurt himself or somebody. And it sounds to me like, by the looks of him and all the signs, I'm like, he's overdosing. And I know. So what blew my mind, though, and why I wanted to share this story, is I immediately finished my business in the post office. I went to my car, basically went and parked on the far side of the parking lot to where I could still see him, but I wasn't in harm's way. And I immediately called 911 and got on the phone. I counted. There was a total of about 12 people in the course of this that literally walked by this man laying down, having a drug overdose, screaming and crying for help. Not one of them stopped. Not one of them called 911. Not one of them got this man any help. And I told Chris, it ruined my viewpoint on humanity. I watched his person after person walked by this man who clearly needs attention, right? Clearly he's a drug addict. Clearly there's something going on. Don't put yourself in harm's way. But it's like, I literally watched all of them get in their car and just drive off and go about their day in their life and leave this man on the side of the road with no help. And I got mad. I got heated. And
you
so
came home fuming.
Oh, I was fuming.
She was upset. Understandably.
Well, to me, I just think that we should always do the right thing, right? And it doesn't matter if he's homeless, if the color of his skin or his sexual orientation, none of that matters. Yes, he has a drug problem. Yes, he's going through all this. Why is he not worth taking a minute to call and get him some help? He needs professional help. It's like, let's do the right thing. Also, he committed a crime. Mm-hmm. You ransacked a federal building. That is a crime. So is no one going to call and report the crime? So, but I just watched. I mean, it was person after person after person that literally, because like I said, the building is all glass. None of them pulled out their iPhones, which, we all have. They're all, we all have them. None of them did a single thing. Yeah. So I got on the phone and I called 911 and I explained the situation. And, of course I was answering all the questions and just, trying to be helpful. And I was like, hey man, like, you got to send an ambulance. Like, you got to get somebody out here. At this point, he was like kind of foaming a little bit at the mouth. And again, I'm like, he's having a drug overdose. And so the 911 operator at the very end, he basically said, thank you so much for calling. And he goes, it amazes me based on all this information. He's like, I have, people en route. I have cops. I have an ambulance on the way. He was like, it amazes me that no one else is called to report this. So like, thank you for doing so. And then he asked me this question, and I didn't really know how to take it. I guess at first it kind of took me off guard.
Yeah.
But he said, if you don't mind me asking, he was like, I would just really like to know why with all these people, because I guess they have cameras at the post office that 911 can like look into. So I guess he was looking, he's like watching people walk by this guy time after time again. He goes, so why would you call? And my response, without thinking, just right in my mouth, was, well, because he's a drug addict and homeless doesn't make his life less than mine. Wouldn't you want somebody to do that for you if you needed that kind of help? And then he just went silence, and he goes, yes, ma'am. Have a great day. They're like, yeah. And so I came home, and I told Chris this whole encounter, and it was just, again, it kind of really upset my faith in humanity. I was like, guys, come on. But, as I was thinking about it, though, I was really reminded of a story in the Bible, the story of the Good Samaritan, which, again, if you guys don't share our Christian faith, that's totally okay. And you're more than welcome here. But I think even if you're, not a Christian, I think you understand the basic principle of the golden rule. And it's like we treat others like we would like to have ourselves treated, right? Treat others like you do yourself. But I was reminded of the biblical story of the Good Samaritan. And if you're not familiar with that parable that Jesus tells, it's basically a road between two cities that were enemies. And someone was basically robbed, and they were stripped, and they were, beaten up and left to die in the middle of the street. And for hours, time and time again, people would walk by this man literally as he's laying there dying, and no one stopped.
All the good, righteous, holy people just, that's not worth my time. That's not someone that deserves my attention.
Or they looked down on them and said, well, that's my enemy. And so therefore, let him die. And that was their attitude towards this man. And so finally, a Samaritan, which would be an
supposed
enemy,
to be the least of the least.
The least of the least, comes in, and he basically takes care of the man. He gets him to an inn. He pays for his recovery, buys him food, takes care of him, and doesn't ask for anything in return. Yeah. And so it's just this, incredible story, though, where basically it really emphasizes the importance of showing compassion and love to others, regardless of their background or their social situation. And so I think as Christians, that is how we are called to live. And even if you're not a Christian, I think the world would be a much better place if we abided by the golden rule.
Even if you're not a Christian, if you intentionally refuse to be that kind of person, you're just choosing to be a bad person.
Yeah.
Just flat out.
I mean, God forbid if I was in a situation where I was on drugs and addicted and I lost my home, and, I don't even know the rest of this man's story, but it's like, if you see someone dying on the street, get them help. Do what you can. Yeah. Don't put yourself in harm's way. Don't be whatever. But it's like, how can you just go about your day and literally just leave someone there to rot? Like, no. So I was really heated yesterday. I came home, my poor husband, he's in the kitchen, he's whatever. And so I'm just letting him have it, because I
cook and experiment, and she tells me stories about what's going on, and it's all good.
But, I came home and I told Chris that story, and I said, it really reminded me of the story of the Samaritan, and not in any way saying that I deserve a gold medal or that I'm a great person. I mess up daily, but I just had a lot of compassion for this man. And we were kind of also too talking about, this wedding shower that we went to for my brother. And so I told Chris, we were talking about it, and we just thought this would make a great topic for our Monday morning motivational, because you can basically, and I'm sorry, the end part of that story is the cops followed up with me, and, we filed a report and everything. And they said that when they got the ambulance and all there, the man was actually playing in traffic. And so he went out into the middle of the street and in his bare feet, and was literally on a super busy road, literally just running in front of cars. Yeah. And so they were going to try to arrest him, but they couldn't really get a hold of him. They also sent an ambulance, and he refused medical attention. Yeah. And so,
which oftentimes people that are out of their mind like that will do.
Absolutely.
Because they don't know that they need it. And unfortunately, we can't control that unless there's a legal reason that they can force them into a cop car and then force them to have medical attention. Which there's a weird line. And doing security, I ended up dealing with this a bunch, but if there's not a particular line that they cross, there's just nothing else they can do legally. And that just is what it is.
And again, like, I literally come from, I come from the ghetto. I mean, straight up, I come from Bakersfield, California. I mean, this is like what I grew up with. So I'm very used to seeing this, and I get it. And I think the cops did what they can, and I know that they're busy, but we wanted to share the story as maybe as heavy and as, angry as I might be still about it. We wanted to share it though, because we were like, this actually kind of really falls into though, kind of what we deal with a lot about telling people about a keto and carnivore lifestyle. And in your own life, you're going to run across people from different backgrounds and different things. And, just like this guy that's addicted to drugs, how many people in your life that you're surrounded with are addicted to food? Right? And when you try to tell them, like, man, if you just lowered your carb count, if you just did this, like it would literally save your life. Like you have to do blah, 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 blah. A lot of them aren't ready to receive that.
Yeah.
And you can, and you should share what you know, but you should do it in a loving and a kind way. And even if they don't do it now, at least you're kind of planting the seed. And I think by you going and, growing in your health journey and, doing keto and doing carnivore and, just working on yourself, I think you become a great example to where they can't say, oh, that clearly must not work. Right. It's like you said, it's like the evidence is there.
Yeah.
And even if you're not where you want to be in your health journey, you're still planting seeds with people, and you're still basically growing, and you're evangelizing and essentially telling people how great this lifestyle is without even saying a word. But so I think it's important that we share with people and we try to help them, right? Mm-hmm. Just like I tried to call 911 and get this guy the help that he needed. But also some people may not be ready to receive that. And so what do you do when that happens? Mm-hmm. But I think that, like I said, you just kind of show up, you work on yourself, you do the right thing, you love people right where they're at. You don't judge them, you don't look down on them because they're an addict. Whether they know it or not, they need help, whether they know it or not. They haven't figured that out. They're not where you are in your journey. And so we thought that would just be a great story to share, and kind of thought we could just talk about, what do you do when you're surrounded by a bunch of addicts that don't know that they are? And what do you do when they turn away from the help that this information could save their life?
Yeah.
What do you do?
I think I would like to add to that. First of all, beautiful story. And my wife is an amazing woman. And I'm always very proud of the things that she does to take care of other people. When I first met her, very quickly, I mean, it was like 2 or 3 minutes after meeting her, I realized that she had this amazing heart of gold, and she cares so much for other people, which makes a lot of sense when you've been through the things you have in your own life. Mm-hmm. And then you realize that people just need help. I think that's beautiful that you know all of that, and that you take the time to care for other people. So there's that, first of all. I was on Keto Simple, Dustin, on his he was doing a live stream yesterday morning.
Love him.
That he does every Sunday. So if you guys didn't know, Keto Simple, Dustin does a live stream, a coffee chat every Sunday morning. And I love being over there and interacting in his live chat community, because they're just great people. And I know a couple of you here I probably know from that. Dustin was talking about helping people and, this like keto and carnivore type stuff when it comes to recipes and all this. And we got on this sort of subject. And the thing that I said in the chat, and he really resonated with it. He was like, dude, 1,000%. Mm-hmm. The thing that I said was that so many people in this space, this is where like dogmatic carnivores and people that, kind of get the whole angry vegan vibe going on with their thing, this is where they end up falling into. And this is why I fight against that so much. People like that get so wrapped up in this idea of this is what works for me and the results I've gotten and blah, blah, blah. Therefore, you should. And then they list off all of the things that you should do and what's wrong with you if you don't. Mm-hmm. And they beat people up over the fact that what they do isn't clean enough. It's not strict enough. It's not good enough. It's not this. It's not that. That is like taking someone who, like this man, was struggling with something and is laying on the ground crying for help. Or maybe they've started taking steps in the right direction. Mm-hmm. and then saying, well, because you're not clean enough and good enough, and you don't have the Mercedes, and you don't have the cell phone, and you don't have the house, and you don't have all the things I have, I'm going to kick you and beat you up and knock you back down and tell you you're worthless and all this. That's the vibe that ends up creating for people. And there is this thing, and this is what I said on Dustin's live stream that he resonated with so much, is people get so wrapped up in, this is what I do, therefore you should, and then, fill in the blank. And they don't realize that it's like, guess what? It's not about you. And if your whole point in talking to somebody is telling them how they're not doing it the way you do it and how that's not good enough, that's not about helping anybody. That's your ego.
Yeah.
And that's you being so focused on your own life that you don't give two craps if somebody else burns. And that's the problem. And it's the same thing with the way people are walking by this guy. It's like, well, calling 911 to get this man some help doesn't benefit me in any way. And he's not as good as me because he's on drugs, or he's homeless, or he's this. So he's somehow less valuable than me, and he deserves this. And that's the problem. And that's why we do what we do, because I can't change what those people do, but I can try to make a difference by doing what I do.
Right.
You can make a difference by doing what you do. And so we try to go be the change you want to see in the world, right? And so it's like, when I started doing carnivore the first time, I was very successful, but I felt empty in the fact that I couldn't go in the kitchen and do the things I love to do.
Right.
And there were times where I wanted certain recipes that I wish existed, and they just didn't. And so I struggled. And then when I went the second time through the whole carnivore journey, I started creating that stuff, because it's like, well, this is what I wish existed.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and just create it, because nobody else has created it. I'm just going to create it. And then I'm going to go put it out there, and maybe it'll help somebody else. And that's how we've ended up here. And it matters so much to me that we are able to do that for people. And I think it just makes such a difference to be able to help people by doing these kinds of things. Because if I'm doing all of these things, creating all these recipes, using my own diet to get myself skinny or healthy or whatever my goal would be, and then I just look at all of these other people and go, well, they're fat and they're addicted and they're this and they're that and blah, 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 blah. What was the value of me making my life last longer? What's the benefit of my health if that's what I'm going to do with it?
What kind of legacy are you like leaving behind for people?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, do people take what you've done and have their lives become better, or do people take what you do and suffer because of it? Because it's going to be one or the other.
Yeah.
You can either choose to do things that help people, or you can choose to do things at other people's expense. And, thankfully, I've ended up in a situation where I can pay our bills by doing things that help other people, which is extremely humbling. But I was putting in all the time and the work into this when it wasn't paying our bills.
Right.
It's like, the paying the bills thing came after the fact.
Because you just care about it. You want to help people.
I just was doing it. And it was like, I told her, I said, even if it only helps one person, it's still worth it. And so that was always my focus on this. And it just makes such a huge difference in my own life when I'm trying to help other people. And so that was the thing in the description box of this. I put, helping others also ends up helping ourselves.
It does.
And that's the thing. Like, you wake up in the morning and you feel good about what you do. You go to bed at night and you sleep more peacefully, because regardless of your belief system, you do things that feed back into you as your person, as your character, as the quality of human being you are. And it defines your thinking, not just in that moment, but in everything you do when you just make those choices. So getting your diet cleaned up and getting the brain fog and the pain and all the things handled in your body, and it takes time, but doing that sets you up to be more capable of doing great things. And then when you make the choice to do those great things, to serve, maybe it's your family. Maybe that's the only place this applies in your life, is just the family that you have that you take care of, because that's the opportunities you have. Great, do that. Maybe it's the people at your work. Maybe it's people that you run across in your daily life, like this person that Ash came across. Maybe it's people at your church or a country club or the golf course or the gym, or I mean, wherever it is you interact with people. You are presented every day with opportunities to either feed into someone's life or to take away from someone's life. And when you get your mind clear and you get your body healthy, you're much more capable of doing it. And then when you choose to do it, that comes back into you, that reformulates the way you think about the world. And the more you help other people, the more your own life improves.
Yes.
And it's really amazing. And it's like when we all start to work together and we all start to love the people around us, we do amazing things, not only for their lives, but then also in our own lives. And you know what's really cool? That also then flips back around, and then those people end up doing things for you, for other people, whatever. And it grows and it spreads. It's infectious when you do that. I would like to shout out Donna.
Yes.
Because she's a great example of this. So you guys will see in the live stream, the cooking live stream tomorrow, I have hung on the wall now a sign. It's a wooden, like carved out sign that says Chris Cooking Nashville. And Ash has a couple that say Ash Taylor
They're
with
so
her
cool.
logo and Ash Wednesdays
Yeah.
that you'll see if you come over to any of her stuff on her channel. These wooden signs were handmade by a lady named Donna. And if you're looking for some custom woodwork like this, she has given me permission to share her email with people. So please let me know if you are interested in something like that. Send me an email and say, hey, I'm interested in ordering a wood sign. She would love to talk with you and give you like a quote for what you're looking for. And
they're awesome.
They are amazing. You're going to see it. I mean, it literally looks just like this with my logo, except 10 times cooler because it's made from wood that's been carved out. So it's unbelievable. It's so cool. I don't even know how to value something like that because of not only the craftsmanship, but just the love that goes into it. But she contacted us and she told us this whole story about her life, her journey, and her trying to become more carnivore and get her own health in check. And she told a story about her son, and that's all her story to tell. So I'm not going to go into it, but she was talking about how valuable she thinks our work here is for so many people, including her. And she said, I just really want to do this. I just really want to do this. And so, we very humbly and graciously said, okay. And I sent her files of our logos, and she made these signs and sent them to us. And I appreciated it just in general because it was a very sweet thing. But then when we opened the package and it's like, this is so amazing and so much more than what I even expected this would be. I mean, I figured they would be cool, but I had no idea that they would be that cool.
Yeah. It was like next level.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, good Lord. I mean, like you go someplace like Gatlinburg, where there's all these like handmade crafts being sold everywhere, and you see this kind of stuff. It's like super expensive, and it's not even a customized thing. It's just, stuff they crank out, and it takes craftsmanship to do this stuff. And it's like, I mean, you want to talk about a sweet and beautiful thing, all because Ash and I are just taking our time and trying to help people, and it means something to someone. And now this beautiful thing comes back to us, which we never expected, that we now have this incredible sign hanging on the wall, which is beautiful in the kitchen and makes me feel even more so like that is a Chris Cooking Nashville kitchen, because now it's labeled, and it's like, I mean, these things, it's not about the sign. It's not about the money. It's not about, any of the things that these kinds of things bring us. It is the heart that goes behind it, because when you do things that are good to other people and you love other people and you give to other people, they turn around and they do the same thing right back to you. And it supports your own journey. It supports their journey. And then all of us together can go and support other people's journey. And it's, truthfully, I mean, this is, as Christians, this is what we are called to be and what we are called to do. And even if you don't share our faith, it's really helpful, I think, to understand where Ash and I come from if you understand what we believe and why we do this. And we are called to do these kinds of things. And unfortunately, if you've had a bad interaction with the church or with quote unquote Christians. I'm very sorry for that. I've had bad interactions with the church and with Christians myself. We are not called to beat people up and look down on people and treat people like they're less valuable and yell at people and all. That is never something we have been given authority to do as Christians. Our whole thing, and this is why we do this with keto and carnivore as well. Our whole thing is we'll tell you what we think, what we believe, why we believe it, and we will encourage you to consider it and hopefully share our belief, because we want to see the best for you, and we just believe that's the best. But if you don't choose that, we are still going to love you anyway, and we are not going to treat you any differently or think of you any differently or somehow think you're less valuable than we are or any of that. I mean, because Jesus said in the Bible that the shepherd will celebrate his one lost sheep more than the 99 that were never lost.
Yeah.
So it's like all of the people who are the Christians that look down on everybody else, like if they are truly Christians, which sometimes I wonder, but even if they are, when they're the ones that are like, oh, I've got it all figured out. Well, good for you. It's not really about you anymore. You already know the answer. So stop looking down on all the people that don't know the answer as if they have to rise to your level. They're actually more of the God's concern than you are. You know, and I think it's kind of the same thing with keto and carnivore. When I make recipes like this and then dogmatic carnivores are like, this is stupid, I'd never eat this, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? It's not about you. You already know the answer. You don't need my information, but the millions, hundreds of millions, maybe billions at this point of people around the world who are sick and dying and struggling because of what is being done to their bodies. Those people, those are the ones that need the help. Those are the ones that need the information. That's why I make recipes. It's not because people who are super stable on carnivore and all this kind of stuff and are happy with meat, salt, water. It's not because they should eat my recipes because that's somehow going to make their carnivore diet better. That has nothing to do with it. What really matters the most is that if you are struggling to be stable on carnivore, or if you feel like you're missing things, but you want to stay on carnivore, or if you're not sure if you should try carnivore because you feel like you'd have to give so many things up, or keto, or whatever it is you would want to do, well, recipes like this might be a tool that will help. It might be something that makes it less scary. And it's like, guess what? I'm not trying to convert the carnivore over to the more relaxed use recipe carnivore.
Right.
I'm trying to convert people who are on a standard American diet that are struggling and that are sick over to considering that a lower carb lifestyle might help them. I'm trying to save the people who aren't already saved. And the people that don't understand that yell and scream and holler in the comments and, you know, maybe look down on people who use recipes or whatever, they don't get it because it's not about them. It's not about them. It's about helping the people that you see laying on the ground screaming for help. And they may refuse it. And that's okay. If they refuse the help, that's all right. But we still have to try to help.
Absolutely. Well, and I think even just like I said, you know, you plant seeds, right? You kind of live your life in a way that, you know, they can't deny the results. And even if at first they, you know, deny the help, that doesn't mean that later on in life that they won't realize it and then come back and go, hey, so what were you talking about?
Yeah.
You know, it's, I think that's true. I mean, we did keto and carnivore for a while and then we made excuses and we went off the rails.
Yeah.
You know, it's
but truthfully, I made excuses. Let me just take responsibility for that. I mean, Ash wasn't like fighting me on it, but then again, she probably was also being kind and not pressuring me because I'm sure she saw I was making excuses because I still hadn't dealt with my carb addiction and I still didn't know how to balance things. Yes.
I though also take responsibility because I probably should have been a better partner to say, hey, are you sure you want to eat that again today? You know? And so I think it's two ways and we both share that, but
we learned a good lesson.
But yeah, I mean, just that's the thing though. Nobody's perfect in the journey. And that's why we just, you know, try, but you know, I think the key message though is to essentially live your life in a way that you are an example. And just because somebody is an addict or that somebody eats differently than you, whether they're meat, salt, water, whether they're standard American diet, whatever, it's like, that's no reason to look down on them and they don't deserve less than you, because they're not just like you.
Yeah.
And if you see someone that needs help, even if they turn it away, you still should show up. You still should tell them the information. You still should try to help, because that, I think, is what we're all here for and what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And if you were in their shoes, I'm sure that you would really wish that somebody would have helped you.
Yep.
And I think anyone watching this probably is, maybe on keto or carnivore, and probably a lot of people for a long time at this point. But like, think back to when you were on a standard American diet and think about your judgment. Think about who introduced you to keto and carnivore.
Yep.
How did you learn this information? It's like that person really blessed your life, and even if you had cheat meals and you slipped up, or maybe it took you years and years to finally try it, it doesn't matter. The point is that you're here, and you're here because somebody else didn't look down on you and treat you less than them because you ate differently.
Right. Absolutely. I totally agree. I think that's a beautiful way of putting it. So, yeah. I just feel like, we have an amazing responsibility when we know an answer to a question to lovingly present it to people who are searching for it. I think that's what it really comes down to. And that can be everything from calling 911 for someone who is tweaking and obviously needs help, whether they understand really what help they need or not, at least doing the best you can, not stepping over someone and just leaving them there to die because, it's not my job. It's not my time.
You also have to really remember too, and this is why I think you need to have patience and not look down on them. Someone, whether you're addicted to drugs or you're addicted to food, they are out of their mind.
Yeah.
They're hallucinating. They have no grasp on reality. They have a series of mental health issues that, just fog their judgment. And I'm saying that as somebody that used to, eat a standard American diet and blew up and drink alcohol every day. And I know Chris has really shared, the anxiety and the depression that you had.
Yes.
So I remember though what it was like for me, and then you mix something like drugs on top of it, they don't know where they're at. I mean, like my mom runs a recovery center, has for years. It's like, I saw this all the time as a kid. People on drugs will do terrible, terrible things that they wouldn't normally usually do, but it's like they're out of their mind and they're not present. So when they turn away help, it's really not that surprising. It happens all the time. But does that mean that you shouldn't try to help them?
Yeah.
Same thing with standard American diet. They're so fogged and they're so addicted to the high of eating whatever that sugary, carbohydrate, food-laden stuff is. Exactly. So it's like, for you to say, man, don't eat that. Come eat, steak instead. They're like, nah. It's like,
I really don't want to.
Well, because they're addicted. There's no high. There's no high off of it. And so that you just have to have grace with people and remember that. So a lot of the time when they're turning you away and they don't want your help or advice, it's because they're just so brain fogged and they're not in their right mind and they don't probably even know it. And so if they get angry and they fly off the handle and they do whatever, it's like, you got to keep all this in mind.
Yeah.
But you just got to show up and you got to love them right where they're at and just plant seeds, be a good example. And just remember that they deserve the same help, that we do.
Absolutely.
Doesn't make them less than just because they're different than us.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
What we got going on? What's everybody saying? Because I know we've been talking a lot.
Yeah, we like to talk. SB Bradley 510 says, I love seeing you cooking with your dad the other day, Chris. What a great video.
Thank you. This is the first time my dad and I have cooked together in a long time.
It was fun. I loved it. Linda D 2007 says, finally made it to alive, sending love from Las Vegas.
We're glad you're here. Thank you.
Janelle says, kudos to you for taking action. Good Samaritan. Yes. Thank you, Janelle. 22Q Cat says, that's really sad. It only takes a minute to help someone. Thank you for being that someone. My pleasure. Again, I'm not looking for a pat on the back or an award. People just make me mad. Just how I would have liked to have been treated. Deborah says, you, Miss Asher, knew my faith in humanity. You were a good Samaritan. Thank you. Janelle also says, great analogy. Thank you, Janelle. I think that's kind of why we thought we would bring it up, even though it was like some heavier topics. But it's like, I think there's a really good lesson and a really good point here.
Absolutely.
Lillian's watching, and she says, wow, thank you for sharing that, Ash. I just lost my nephew, 24 years old, to drugs, my sister's son. And at this moment, I am trying to help my youngest son adapting to keto, for he is about 140 kilos sad to say. Well, Lillian, I'm really sorry to hear about your loss.
Very sorry for that.
And
prayers for you, and especially for your sister and just all the family.
Yeah, that's very heartbreaking. We're very sad to hear that. But also, I love that you're trying to help your youngest son with keto and losing weight. So again, Lillian's being a light, right? She's going out, setting the example.
And that's the best thing you can do. You just try to help. I mean, people are going to decide what they're going to decide, but that doesn't mean that we can't try to lovingly help.
Lillian also has 2 comments here.
Yeah.
She says, our God is merciful and would never condemn us for not trying good enough. It's not about doing it the right way. She also says, amen to that, Chris. This is why I love you both so much. You never, ever condemn people for anything they try. Usually we all try our bestest.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think anyone that condemns you for not doing it right is completely ignoring all of the things that they're screwing up in their own life on a daily basis, because there's never been a single human that lived, save Jesus in my belief system. There's never been a single human on earth that has done it all right.
True. So, Addicted to Antler says, you reap what you sow.
Absolutely.
Very true. Janelle says, amen. Being diagnosed with diabetes is the best thing that happened to me. It made me search for alternatives that worked. Now I try to help others. It's sad when they are not interested in changing.
Yeah, it's difficult. I've told Ash before, I really questioned for a long time, why did I have to become so addicted to food? Why did I have to become 400 pounds? Why did I have to deal with all of these things and feel like I lost out on so much time in my life because of my struggles? And then when Chris Cooking Nashville really started to grow, because I had done all of this and lost a bunch of weight and I was starting to inspire people, I was like, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why, because I would have never done this had I not struggled first. And, it's like you just turning your struggles into the help. And, it's not something you can make other people do. And it is very sad when it's like, I know something that will help you so much and you can't convince someone to try.
Right.
But the thing is, all we can do is just try, and we just have to love people, and we don't have to look at those people as being worth anything less. It's just hard. It really, really is. But we just do the best we can to try to love them.
That's right.
So good for you for trying to encourage people, though, and using your own story as a way to help.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's amazing.
And I think anybody can do that, whether you have a YouTube channel or not.
Absolutely.
Teach your family about it.
For sure.
Barry Weems says, you were sent there by God for the purpose of you getting that gentleman help, because God saw that the others wasn't, and they will be the ones that have to pay the price later on in life.
Yes.
Well, you know what? I actually was supposed to be somewhere else at that time. My day got rearranged. So I think you're right, Barry. I think it kind of worked out. I guess that was supposed to happen, and out of it, like I said, we have a good Monday motivation, topic to talk about. So hey,
absolutely.
It's all good. Let's see. People are saying how lovely the wood signs must be. So definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, you'll definitely be seeing them tomorrow night, as well as coming soon on Ash's channel. They're amazing.
Oh, they're incredible. John is here. He says, your recipes give me variety. I can eat meat every day, but those high carb meals keep calling my name. I want pasta, and your pasta recipes are perfect for when that happens.
Yeah, I appreciate that, John, and I'm really glad that it helps. I mean, truthfully, that is exactly how I would think those recipes should be used, where it's like, okay, I'm going to eat beef patties or steaks or chicken thighs or whatever it is you're eating, on a daily basis. And I'm just going to eat that for dinner most nights of the week. And then suddenly you're like, oh, I just cannot get fettuccine Alfredo out of my mind. Like, I just want it so bad. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, yeah, sure, you could muscle your way through it, and that's fine. But it's like, if the dairy of something like fettuccine Alfredo doesn't set anything off for you, which some people it does, and that's fine. So they need to avoid it. But if you can use that, well, go ahead and make the carnivore pasta. Have a carnivore fettuccine Alfredo like we just did the other night.
Right.
And then you go, oh, that was so good. And then you go back to what you were doing with the meat patties. And it's like, is it as clean and ideal as just beef, salt, water? Probably not. But is it better than if you just can't get it out of your head, going off the rails and going and doing something else? Absolutely. And this is one of the things that addiction recovery uses, right? They do behavioral treatment, where it's like, when you're craving a cigarette, a drink, something in your vein, like whatever it is, right? Whatever your thing is you're addicted to, when you're craving it, there is some other behavior you use to replace that.
Mm-hmm.
Because instead of just sitting there in the corner and just gritting your teeth to try to get through it, you have to do something.
Right.
One, you take yourself out of the situation. Two, you try to figure out what causes the craving in the first place so you can try to address the underlying issue.
Mm-hmm.
And then three, you have a behavioral approach that changes it. The thing with food is we all have to eat. So you can't just not eat or go do something else to replace it. So the best thing I've found for me personally, it may not work for everyone, for me personally, is make a keto or carnivore version of it that's really good. It can't be like a halfway, crappy version.
Right.
And then you try to convince yourself. You have to make one that's actually good and enjoy it and be like, okay, yeah, it's a little heavy on the dairy, but you know what? Great. I'm going to do that. And then tomorrow I'm going to go back to what I'm doing. And it satisfies the desire for variety or the different thing. And it just makes you feel like you're not losing out on things. Not everyone needs that. But if you do, there's a great way to do it. So
absolutely. John also has two other comments that I think are both really good. He says, I'm half Italian. Pizza and pasta will always have a place in my diet. So I need creators like you to make recipes so I can eat Italian food without guilt or consequences of eating a high carb meal.
Yes. Just wait and see if the recipe experiment that I'm hopefully going to have for us for dinner tonight works out.
Yeah.
Because if it does, within a week or two, you're going to be seeing another Italian dish, provided that it goes the way I think it will.
Yeah. And then he also says, yeah, a lot of people are like that. They want to feel better, but don't want to give up the sad woe. You can't help someone that doesn't want to change.
Yeah.
Very true, man.
Yep.
Very true.
Absolutely.
And then Janelle says, with your amazing recipe, who needs cheat meals?
Well, I appreciate that. So
yeah,
I appreciate that. Yeah. I think there's a lot of places for a lot of different approaches on the spectrum of the proper human diet. And, some people, especially the longer you do a proper human diet, I think a lot of people get to a point, they just don't care about this stuff anymore. And it just becomes not worth the work, or if they do decide they want this kind of stuff, it's very rare.
Yes.
And that's totally fine, and quite honestly, if you're one of those people who can eat meat, salt, water, and once a year on your birthday, you have a piece of birthday cake that's like real birthday cake and you're good.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Whatever it is you got to do, whatever the approach is. But I just know there are a lot of people that are looking for these recipes. The views on YouTube and the people searching for the search terms that I put into my descriptions show there's a lot of people searching for this. Even if it's not ideal, giving those people a pathway to get to a more ideal, proper human diet is, I think, really important.
Absolutely.
And really helpful. And that's what we do. We just try to bridge people over from, I can't possibly give up my ding dongs and my cupcakes and my pastas and my, large pizzas and my, all this different kind of stuff and my soda and whatever. I can't possibly give all that up to, well, maybe I could try this and I could use these other recipes, to, man, I feel really good. This is amazing. I don't ever want to change, to eventually, these recipes are really good, but they're a lot of work, or maybe they're this, or maybe they're that. And I just don't really feel like I'm needing them that much anymore. So just maybe occasionally, to, I never need any of this because now I just don't miss it anymore.
Yeah.
That's a whole progression. And so many people go, well, here's where you got to start. Here's where you got to end. And if you don't do it that way, then you deserve to die. I've been told by a few very dogmatic carnivores that if you need to make these look-alike recipes, then you don't even deserve good health.
Yeah.
And it's like, what a horrible way to just approach the world. I mean, like, the Batman that Christian Bale played, and then Heath Ledger was playing the Joker. The character Alfred the butler in there is talking to Bruce Wayne and says, essentially he's telling the story, and he says the reason that Batman is struggling to understand the Joker is because he's missing the point that he says, Mr. Wayne, some men just want to watch the world burn. And dogmatic carnivores that go, if you can't do it the way I do, then you don't deserve good health. They just want to watch the world burn. You either be like me or you die. And those are the people that we stand up against, and we say, nope, that's not how you take care of the world, and that's not how you love people. We don't do that.
I so agree. I'd also like to give you kudos for using a Batman reference and applying it to keto and carnivore. That was pretty cool. I like that. Awesome. Cool.
That's right.
I like it. Well, honey, I think we're pretty much all caught up on comments.
Well, great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, guys, I think we have probably talked long enough and probably bugged everybody for enough time today. So, um, Lillian says, I'm not from the US, so I had to look up a ding,
Ding
dong.
dong.
No, I won't have that. It was really
That's
funny.
That's funny.
We were at a place the other day where there were cupcakes, and someone was offering me a cupcake, and I was like, "No, thanks, I'm good."
Mm-hmm.
And they were sitting there next to me eating a cupcake, and they were talking about it, and they were like, "It's not very good." And I looked at it, and I was like, "Oh, the texture on the inside looks like a ding dong."
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
I just can't imagine.
Can't do it.
I just can't imagine. It's like, even if I was gonna have something like that, I sure wouldn't do it for something that looked like a ding dong. So, anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here. Make sure to like and share if you haven't already, and just send us those emails, info@chriscookingnashville.com, if you have subjects that you think would be cool if we did like a research-based health video or a live stream, either one, if it would be one or the other. Also, I'm very interested if you guys like these kinds of, we sit here and talk about specific stories, live streams. Would you prefer we just open it up to more comments and questions in the comments section? How would you like these live streams to kind of work on a regular basis? Would be very interested to know. So feel free to comment on this video after we go off of the live here, or send me an email or whatever. We just want to make this as helpful as we can for you guys on this channel. So let us know what you like to see and what is most helpful for you. But in the meantime, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. And we are going to sign off, tell you all have an amazing week. Stay motivated. This is Chris Cookin Nashville. My beautiful wife over here, Ash Taylor. You guys eat your meat. Love your life. We're going to see you in the studio, down in the kitchen, and a whole bunch of other places for motivation and a bunch of recipes. Bye, guys.